Welcome to the fifth and final episode of Positive Parenting with VM Foundation. We hope that the previous episodes have been fulfilling, enriching, and useful to your lives as we aim to positively transform your lives every day. I am Samantha Charles, CEO of VM Foundation. For this Parents Month, we are partnering with the University of the West Indies and the Child and Adolescent Unit from the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Western Regional Health Authority from the Ministry of Health to bring you rich discussions on issues affecting our parents. Stay with us. Welcome back. In this episode, we will focus on character building and development and leadership. With me is Andre Allen Casey, counseling psychologist with Family Life Ministries. Andre is currently a professional therapist at Family Life Ministries with expertise in grief counseling, premarital counseling, family therapy, behavior modification in children, personality disorder screening, marriage counseling, conflict resolution, life skills training, psychodynamic therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, and solution-based therapy. Welcome, Andre.
Hi, thank you.
It's good to have you with us.
My pleasure.
What role does parenting play in character development?
Well, for that to happen, we have to continue to recognize that we must be an example to our children. If you want to talk about character building, then you have to be an example to our children. You have to be an example in love. You have to be an example in rules of engagement. You have to be an example in discipline. You have to be an example in, even in your faith. You have to be an example in honesty.
Yes.
You have to be an example in discipline. See, you have to be an example in all of these areas if you want to build character in
good morals.
And good morals.
Having good values.
And good values in our children. Because, and the idea here is for you to mirror those behaviors. So they have to see that kind of behavior in you because you are the first place for them to have an education about
yes.
who they are going to become or even the role that they are going to play in society.
Yeah, parents are the first teachers, aren't they?
They are the first teachers. And so the question that parents would need to ask themselves is, what example am I setting for you? What is it that our children are seeing in us so that we can build character,
right.
so that we can develop, and so that we can become leaders
right.
in tomorrow's future.
And does parenting look different at various stages of our development as children going up? Does it look different?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And why I say that, because, all right, put it this way, let's say from age 0 to maybe age 12 or 13. For the most part, parents are all about maintaining, nurturing, and caring for their children. From 13 years going up, from the pre-adolescent stage, going into the adolescent stage, which can go as high as, let's say, age 21,
yes.
even say 25.
Yes.
Although most persons wouldn't call themselves an adolescent at age 25, and rightly so.
Yes.
Notwithstanding, what we are saying, that the parenting style looks different. How so? Most parents in the adolescent phase and stage of nurturing their children are frustrated and have a lot of fears.
Yes.
They are frustrated and have a lot of fears. And so that is how it looks different. They are frustrated and have a lot of fears. The fears has more to do with the idea that I'm doing my best with my adolescent. I do not understand the changes that are occurring into my adolescent. And as a result of that, I sometimes have to rule with a hard fist, maybe, yes, or in a draconian way, actually. Right. And so sometimes we have a lot of pushback from our children because parents do not understand I want to say a couple of eyes that affect the adolescent. For example, their image,
Yes.
their identity,
Yes.
their individuality. These are just some of the eyes that are affecting the adolescent. And if parents do not understand these eyes, then really and truly, you're going to have a lot of pushback. And so this is how parenting differs as the children develop or grow.
And certainly there are fears right along the stage. I know you're referring here now just to adolescent and the fears that parents have at that stage. But surely at a toddler stage, we have certain fears. At a preschool stage, we have fears as well. They're just different. Is that so?
Yes.
For me, I think you're a parent your whole life, no matter how big your children get or how old they become.
Yes, you remain a parent, but the type of nurturing and care differs.
Differs, indeed.
Because we need to understand that, you see, once we do our part to develop our children, then they have to do their part to accept that development.
Yes.
And now put that into practice, what they have learned from their parents.
Yeah.
But we have to be careful that we do not continue to micromanage them.
Absolutely.
Because they're no longer, they are no longer our babies. So we have to learn to grow with them, actually.
Yes. Is that similar to the saying that says, you teach them how to fish rather than giving them fish? In other words, you allow them to grow and develop. And in leading to that, then, how does a parent pull out a child's potential?
I really believe that for that to happen, we have to inculcate in them, or create, I should state, emotional intelligence and develop their self-efficacy. Let me explain both. Let me start with self-efficacy.
Yes.
Self-efficacy is a term that was developed by Dr. Albert Bandura. He's a social psychologist. And he speaks of the idea of that, what is our internal belief? What is it that we believe about ourselves? And whether or not that belief, we are going to allow anything to interfere with that belief. How is it that we're going to relate to people as a result of that belief? How is it that we're going to relate to even managing our lifestyle because of what we believe?
Yes.
And so I have a term, not maybe a term, maybe a couple words. I can, yes I can, yes I will, yes I must.
Yes.
I do believe that in developing the self-efficacy in our children, they must believe that yes they can, yes they will, yes they must. And note the word self-efficacy. While on one hand, we create an arena for them to learn and develop this self-efficacy where they believe in their own potential, yes I can, yes I will, yes I must, then really and truly, it becomes a little bit difficult for them to follow their peers.
Okay.
Right.
So that's another challenge in itself.
They will be able. They will not now follow their peers because
They have
they
their own
already
self-belief.
believe in themselves. And so
Right.
even to put up a picture, even their image, then, if I can put it that way, is not going to deter them in what they believe on the inside. And so we see that is the self-efficacy. We're talking about developing or bringing out the full potential in our children. So I'm saying it begins with self-efficacy. But I also believe we have to develop now the emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And emotional intelligence really, by and large, speaks to the idea of what is it that, how do I manage me so that I can have a better relationship with others? But how do I manage me? And so at every stage of our lives, even to adulthood, we still have that problem in how do I manage me?
Yes.
But self-efficacy, not self-efficacy rather, but emotional intelligence speaks to the idea that I must become self-aware. So in our children, are they aware of the different emotions that they are going through? So self-aware. Can they name the emotion? Can they identify this emotion? If parents cannot do that, or even show them how to do that, then how do we expect our children to do the same?
Right.
So so by and large,
It starts with the parent.
By and large, it starts with the parents. Where let us teach them how to identify a particular emotion. I am happy. I'm upset. I'm angry. So you name the emotion.
Yes.
After you have named the emotions, that is called where we recognize the emotion that we're having.
Yes.
Then after that, we need to have what is called where we are able now to do something about that emotion. Should I follow that feeling or should I inform the feeling?
Oh.
And so that's a question we need to teach our children. But it must start with us.
Yes.
What must we do? Should we follow our feelings? So just because I feel angry, I must act it out?
Right.
Or should I have a conversation with myself to regulate what I do? So, so that's how we're going to, modify.
Very interesting, because then you're really looking at being very conscious about, again, your emotions, being aware enough to question them, being aware to know when to act on them and how to act on them.
And how
we
to
act on them positively,
right?
So that we can have positive transformations in our life.
Right.
And so that's very interesting. How do parents then sometimes limit a child's growth and a child's development then? You said it starts with the parent first, but then we know of instances where not the right parenting, if we call that. There's a right way to parent and maybe a wrong way.
Well,
how does that limit a child's?
That can be done by parents wanting to live vicariously through their children. So because this is my role, or this is what I've done, or this is the way I measure my success, then you don't just become a garbage collector.
Right.
No. You must plan to own the company. Right? And so for parents, we always want better for our children, and nothing is wrong with that.
Right.
While we applaud that, the question is though, have we created an atmosphere where the child or our children can say, yes, but this is what I want to become.
This is what I am passionate about. This is
what
what I like. This is what I prefer.
This is what I prefer. There you have it.
Yes.
And so sometimes we interfere with that process because we live vicariously through our children.
Yeah, I guess the other flip side to that is I always wanted to be a violinist. You're going to learn how to play the violin.
Very much so.
Yes,
excellent.
And the child may not want to know how to play the violin.
Or play football.
Tell me something though. Is there something intuitively wrong about doing that or saying that to a child? Because there's a side to that says we want to introduce these things to the child, and the child may not know what's good for them. A Jamaican parent will tell you don't know what's good for you.
Right.
But then on the flip side, based on what you're saying, is we should allow them to have their own passions, fulfill their own potential based on their own desires. What do you say about that?
Well, there can be a balancing act. Remember, as our children grow, then we have to grow with them. Remember, one of the eyes I mentioned about the adolescent is their own independence.
Yes.
And so once they reach a phase and a stage in their lives where they can make up their own mind about what they want to become, so we can create an arena and a foundation and hope that they will model it.
Yes.
But then it becomes, then they have a choice in the matter as they become older. What do I want to do? Because now you're not under influence in their lives.
Yes.
Their friends, their peers, society on a whole are now influencing them. And by and large, might be inviting them or exposing them, that's a better term, exposing them to a career path that is satisfying with their own character or even with their own personality.
Yes. And in terms of leadership, let's kind of look on leadership. How can parents foster leadership characteristics in their child or children?
Well, I mean, look at how you behave.
Yes.
When somebody talks to you. Look at what you do. Do you have followership?
Yes. Yes.
No, I'm serious. Why I use that word?
The parent really needs to understand too that the child is always watching, the child is always looking, and as you said earlier, it's an example that the parent sets. Parents are the first teachers, and therefore if the parent rises to becoming a leader or looking a leader or speaking in leadership style or phrases, nurturing that characteristic. Is that how the parent will assist and help the child to develop those characteristics?
Yes, but I want to add to what you just stated, and I mentioned earlier followership, because by and large, we think leadership does not constitute followership. My argument is for us to start to become leaders, we have to learn to help people to follow. it's you they're going to follow, you know. But what are they following? What examples are they seeing in you? What traits do you have for them to captivate them, for them wanting to follow you?
You have to provide the right
and then the next question is, what are you leading them into? And why do you want to lead them?
Yes.
All of these questions, you know, they have to grow into this and aspire for that leadership. But let me hasten to add here that not all personalities warrants a particular type of leadership.
Indeed.
Some personalities, and I'm not going to announce them necessarily.
Yes.
I hope you don't press me on that. But some personalities makes you a little bit more susceptible to carrying out, to becoming a leader.
Right.
As against another personality speaks to the idea that I am okay with operating from behind the scenes, so to speak, or following.
And I guess there's nothing wrong in supporting. Supporting and understanding. I guess for a leader, it's all about the parent trying to set the right direction and guidance for their child to be able to bring out those characteristics.
Most definitely.
Yes. So you have experience in behavior modification in children. If parents are not seeing that character growth that they would like to see in their children, what exactly can they do? What strategies can they utilize? How can they improve on that?
That's an interesting question. I wish I had a particular tool. I'm going to take out my pen. No, I didn't plan to answer that question. I'm glad I should put it forward, though. Notwithstanding, there is it was developed by myself.
Okay.
It's called Life is Like a Knife. And in life, we either hold on to the handle
or the blade.
The sooner you recognize where you are on the knife, the better you're able to navigate your life. And what do I mean by that? We're talking about helping our children to understand not only leadership, but also to recognize that everything about life and living will put them in blade position or handle position. Now, if you do not want to get caught, the question is, do you prepare to go in the direction of the person who controls the knife?
Oh, okay.
If you don't want to get caught.
Yes.
I would like to recommend that you probably need to get your own knife if you don't want to get caught.
Indeed.
And we're using we're using the idea about life and knife, so to speak. But the truth is, when I go to work at Family Life Ministries, Dr. Barry Davidson, he holds the handle.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. When I'm on the road and the stoplight gives me the red light, at that point in time, it holds the handle.
Yes.
And if I continue to violate those instructions, then I'm going to have to pay the consequences. When our children are at school, so we're talking about behavior modification.
Yes.
When our children are at school, they need to understand who is in charge.
They need to understand right from wrong and who is in charge.
They need to understand who is in. Talking about behavior modification. And so I oftentimes use this example with some of our youngsters. I say to them, if the teacher hold the hand and you hold the blade, and the teacher's moving the knife in a particular direction, if you put up resistance, who's going to get caught? And they acknowledge they will get caught. Yes. Then I say to them, what is the reason for you are getting caught? And they said, because I did not go in the direction in which the teacher was moving the knife. So I said, then who you again blame? The teacher or yourself for getting caught?
Right.
And they said, blame me.
Yes.
And so right away, they get the idea of behavior modification.
Yes.
Recognize that from society to society, we have to so the government is in charge. Our bosses are in charge. If we don't like it, we get our own job.
Indeed. Rules are
our
set.
Own career then.
Indeed. Rules are set and rules are there to be followed. And a very good concept in terms of using the knife and the blade and the handle. And I think that's a very good way to analyze and explain consequences and direction and choosing right from wrong. And certainly all of those things help to build an individual, build character, build development, build leadership. A good leader ought and should follow the rules. And that might be controversial, that statement, but in all respects, a good leader, you want to follow a good leader, and a good leader will set the right example, and a good leader will provide good guidance.
Very true.
There is always going to be a determination as to what is right and what is wrong. And then obviously setting those good examples, a parent setting those good examples for their children will be able to help and develop in terms of character development, their own great characteristics as becoming young people in terms of their own development and future. So thank you. Thank you so much, Andre, for this very eye-opening conversation, for the analogies, for certainly explaining to us the importance of emotional intelligence and how important it is for parents to be good leaders. We really want to be able to promote, as part of our series, Positive Parenting, looking at how we can really transform the lives of our parents every day. So thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Thank you everyone for watching. This has been our final episode in Positive Parenting with VM Foundation. I'm your CEO, Samantha Charles. If you need support as a parent, you may call the National Parenting Support Commission at 876-560-9272. There is also support for our children. There are child guidance clinics at our hospitals and health centers throughout Jamaica. We have the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Unit at the Ministry of Health and Wellness at 876-633-8100. There's also the Jamaica National Helpline for Children and Teens Safe Spot at 1-888-723-3776. And you may WhatsApp them at 876-439-5199. And if you need to reach us at VM Foundation, please send us an email at vmfoundation@myvmgroup.com. We wish for you positive parenting experiences always.
Thank you everyone for having joined us on this, our final episode of Positive Parenting with the VM Foundation. I am Sophia Lewis, Assistant Manager, Group Corporate Affairs and Communications, and I am sitting in for our VM Foundation CEO, Samantha Charles. So we thank you for joining us on our YouTube and Facebook channels or on the UWI Mona Western Jamaica Campus channel. We thank you so much for joining us. And we have been having a week of rich discussion on different parenting issues, and we are ending the week on character building and development and leadership. And this is your opportunity to just chat a little bit with us. So if you have any questions, we invite you to share it in the chat, and we will definitely field those questions. I have with me again Andre Allen Casey. He's a counseling psychologist at the Family Life Ministries. Andre, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right, you had a rich discussion with our CEO and you delved into some deep issues. And we're just going to be talking a few minutes about some other things that our parents may want to bear in mind as they try to build character and build leadership in our children. Now, there's one question that I think that we can tackle, and that is if a parent feels that perhaps maybe they were young when they started out in this parenting thing, and they felt that they have lost some time and the children or their child doesn't have that character that they want them to have at this point in their lives. Is it ever too late for parents to try to build character?
It is never too late for parents to try and build character. One of the things we remind parents about is the fact that they also need to listen to their children. Because in order to build character, what is it that I am also teaching my children? What is it that my children are seeing in and from me? If they are upset, is it that I respond to them in a like manner? You see, one of the problems that we can have as it relates to continue to build those characters in our children, we have to be careful that we don't start behaving like them. That we don't start behaving like them. That some of the things.
That's interesting. So we don't go toe to toe. It's not a match for match.
It's not a match. So you don't malice the children.
Ah,
You don't manage your children. I mean, where do you come off? This is that you're going to manage your own child. So even if you're upset with your children, the question is, are you a conduit of love? Are you an example of love? Are you an example of peace? Are you an example of patience? Are you an example of kindness? That's how we're going to build character in our children. So it's never too late. But by and large, we have to see, we have to ensure that we are the example,
right. So it
not
comes
the
back down to
children.
that. Be the example.
Be the example, and not the children educating us.
Wow.
Whenever the children reach a stage where they're saying, we're not being consistent or we're being unfair, then really and truly, we can no longer build character in our children. So the building the character in our children, first and foremost, begins with what kind of example am I prepared to be to my child.
Okay, and on that note, how do we use teachable moments? We often hear that phrase. How can parents use teachable moments to help to build character and leadership?
Well, I mean, the teachable moment could just be where you feel upset. You ask them to do their homework. They didn't do the homework. And so it's rather than start to shout or even say to them, I'm tired. You frustrate me. I'm tired of telling you to go and do your homework. Rather than using those terms and those words, you see, we are allowing our anger to regulate our responses. When in truth and in fact, and here is a teachable moment. The teachable moment is, yes, it is unfortunate that you did not do your homework, but have a conversation with your child to find out what happened. Have a conversation. For us, we have become a little bit too impatient, or I'm going to use this word, flustered and frustrated, where we no longer have conversations. So what we're doing is giving instructions. And whenever our children do not follow those instructions, we give ourselves the right to react to them in whatever way, form, or fashion.
That's a good point. I think the patience, as you said, is the patience. But for parents who are juggling so many things and they may be just tired, perhaps they need to step away and exercise emotional intelligence themselves and come back to the situation.
Yeah, I excellent, very, very much so. In addition to that, though, I want to say that a part of those teachable moments is the idea that what is the kind of outcome you're looking for whenever you're having a conflict? What kind of outcome are you looking for? So do you plan to process how you feel and have that conversation with your child to find out their context? Why you never do the homework? Why is it that we have to have this conversation over and over and just kind of understand? And then rather than keep on saying to our children, don't, because I think we have our PhD in telling our children don't. I am suggesting that we start to explain and show our children what to do. That is a teachable moment, right?
Yes, a teachable moment for me. Right. All right. Let's be real. Most of our homes, or a number of our homes, you have one parent in the home and one parent outside the home. What kind of strategies can we give to parents who are co-parenting to ensure that they maintain some kind of unity of messaging as they build character and leadership in their children?
Okay. First and foremost, stop speaking ill of the other parent to the child. That's the first thing. Stop speaking ill of the other parent to the child. That is not the child's battle. That is parents' battle. And so sometimes, unfortunately, we use our children to fight our battles for us. So because we want to say something ugly
or to do something ugly, oftentimes we are quarreling. We're in the house and we're saying, you what this mother, you what this papa, and a host of other adjectives. And our children are hearing that. And then you wonder, why is it that the child is conflicted? Let us understand that our children, by the way, our children want a mommy and a daddy. Our children, it takes two to bring you, it must take two to nurture you. But our children, they need to understand mommy's love, and they need to understand daddy's love. They need to understand mommy's nurturing, and they need to understand daddy's nurturing. And so unless parents recognize their value and their importance to the development of their children to become leaders, then we are going to continue to allow our interpersonal conflicts to interfere with how we parent our children, or be an example of what cooperative parenting looks like.
So give me an example of how parents can collaborate on some issues. So although I might not be in the home, how can I collaborate with a parent who is in the home when it comes to certain decision making? Like practically, what does that look like? So I'm hearing what I shouldn't do. What should I do?
Okay, excellent. The same term I use to put
I turn back to you.
very good. Excellent. Let's talk about discipline. Let's use discipline as an example. Sometimes one parent would like to discipline a particular way, and another parent would like to discipline a particular way. I am suggesting that both parents come together and have a conversation with each other to find out what is the best approach, so as to get the desired outcome. The best approach to get the desired outcome. It is more about what you can be grooming your child to become, as against you are, it's all about you are upset and I am going to, and this is how I'm going to manifest my anger. And so sometimes parents feel, so some parents might say, I'm tired. So you know what, take this. So because I'm tired and I'm frustrated, then this is how I react to you. Again, tell you about it. I can come out of my house. Again, tell you go to your papa. And of course, all I'm saying here, no lunch, because I'm tired, I'm flustered, I'm frustrated. So what we find ourselves doing is reacting to our anger or reacting to our hurt. That's what we're doing. And by carrying out such a reaction, it is not teaching the child what should be an appropriate response when I am angry myself. Not teaching them. In essence, what you're teaching them is that when you're angry, you must behave. And so sometimes whenever children go into the schools, why is it that they feel like they have to thump and pinch and hit back? Or by and large, it is because they have seen in our parents that whenever they are angry, this is their attending responses whenever they are angry. So I'm suggesting, going back to the discipline, that we first look at managing ourselves, and also to whatever we're going to now employ as far as disciplining is concerned. It is for the child's best interest. It is not satisfying me. It is not about me. Even in discipline. When I'm disciplining my child, it is not about me taking out my frustration on the child. It is what is it that I can do so that I can have behavior modification. So the goal, so even if I don't agree with the other parent, it's the best option so that the child will look better and
will have the best outcome, right?
The best outcome. Then that parent who would prefer to beat or to be ugly would need to step back and allow that other parent to take the lead role where that is concerned.
Okay, so before the issues arise, then the parents would say, okay, these are our agreed approaches to the various issues that may arise. It takes a lot of self-discipline on the parent's side, doesn't it?
Yes, that's what I'm equally suggesting. That don't feel like because I am tired and frustrated, I'm going to react.
Mm-hmm.
The child, that's what you're teaching the child.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to do that. What you want, what that parent must do. As a matter of fact, sometimes that parent who is so caught up because they might have the primary care of that child.
Right.
Might just need to literally step back and allow the other parent to take the lead role in as far as trying to exercise some kind of discipline.
That's a good point. I think my final question for the evening will be this age-old question. Are leaders born or are they nurtured? How do we nurture leadership in our children, or is it that it's something that they will naturally have?
That's the hardest question. Okay.
That's a Kevin for last.
I think it's a little of both. I really think it's a little of both. And here's why I say that. Let me start with the nurturing. If your children's, if by nurturing is what is going to bring about some kind of leadership style in our children. And please remember, by the way, over 32 different leadership styles.
Right. Yes, I was thinking of that. Yes.
Or more, actually, or more. But so nurturing. So they see in our parents how they speak to other people, the kind of relationship that they have with even the audience, so to speak. If they see some of these, and the reason why I'm using that word, I'm using it in contrast to the word leadership. If they see how we treat those that are under our care, then by and large, they will recognize that I can employ the same kind of style or treatment. So that is one way. Now, in terms of born, and this is at the tiptoe on this one here, but you do have some personalities, or personality traits, I should state,
that are predisposed.
That the truth is, and you can go and read it up actually. I'm going to even call it out. I'm going to call it out. Choleric.
Oh.
Choleric. I invite you to go and read it up.
I shall read it up. Yes.
Read it up. And so a person that might have choleric personality profile, or even as a disposition, by and large, are almost natural leaders. By and large, they are natural leaders. And so, but with that, one has to be very, very careful, because you do not want to develop what is called narcissistic personality disorder. Because sometimes, if you do not know how to lead, if you really don't know how to lead, then you become autocratic in your leadership. And the truth is, let me quickly say this. Even some type of parenting styles invite certain types of
leadership styles.
So if you have an autocratic type of leadership in the parenting style, then by and large, you might find that same kind of behavior in your children. If you have a laissez-faire type of parenting style, or if you have a democratic type of parenting style, by and large, you will find that the children will mirror that type of style, generally speaking, in how they lead, in how they lead or not.
Okay. In a sentence, could you just tell me what the choleric, did I get that word correct?
Yeah.
What does that word mean? We can read up on the rest, but what does that word mean?
Well, the choleric personality profile speaks to the idea of someone that can be dominant.
Okay.
Speaks to the idea of somebody who prefers that things go their way. Speaks to the idea that they are more leaders than followers. So even if an instruction is given about how something must be done, they might want to employ their own
way. Okay.
own way. And still, as in their minds, as long as I get the job done, I don't need you to tell me how to do it. And a host of other things. But
I think we got the idea. Maybe some parents are saying, oh my, that's my child. At all. They're doing it their way. And especially now that our children are so exposed in terms of the digital world and in terms of what they're learning online, they sometimes feel they don't need school, they don't need my parents to tell me, I can find out, I can do this, and I know what I need to know. It is, I'm sure it's the cry of the modern child, or the parent who is parenting the modern child.
Yes, indeed.
All right, this has been a good conversation, Andre. Thank you so much for joining us again for this post-discussion conversation so we could delve into some other issues. And I wish you a happy International Men's Day also. Today's International Men's Day. And for those of our men, you're welcome. Those of our men who are watching, happy International Men's Day. And this week has been a rich week of discussion. On Monday, we dealt with positive parenting strategies. On Tuesday, we dealt with the psychology of it all, parenting in a pandemic and the mental health of our parents and the children. On Wednesday, we were focusing on our fathers with navigating fatherhood. On Thursday, yesterday, we had discipline and the child. And today we wrap things up with character building and development and leadership. And here at the VM Group and the VM Foundation, we are about transforming the quality of life, transforming your everyday. And we hope that this series has been beneficial to you, our parents. And on behalf of the VM Group, we just thank you for joining us all of this week. I am Sophia Lewis, Assistant Manager, Group Corporate Affairs and Communications, sitting in for Samantha Charles, our CEO. And we wish for you, all our parents, positive parenting experiences always. Have a good evening.